Hey, Michelle, what's going on with you? How's everything in New York?
Hey, Lindsay, everything is good over here. Actually, last weekend, my family and I went to this place, Alice's Teacup. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if you had ever heard of it when you lived there, but it's like pretty famous, and it's just this cute little tea shop, and they serve a tea time basically, like a whole thing.
Tea
And I
time.
hadn't been since I was, well, since I first moved to New York, and I'd always dreamt of going back there one day, and so we got to go, so that was cool.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
Yes.
I know when you go to London, you can do that too. You can go and order like have high tea.
Yep.
Or
We did
even
that in London.
you did do that in London? Okay, I didn't hear that story. Or even when
I
I was in Egypt, they offered that, but it's a little
Oh,
bit
it's alright.
not quite as like I don't know. I do it in London, right? London or New York, I guess. More so London.
We did a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory themed one so
Oh,
that the kids.
cool. Very
Yeah, so that was fun.
cool.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
good.
All right. Well, what are we getting
Yeah.
into today, Michelle? What are we
Well, we
talking
are
about?
not talking about tea, but we are talking about. Lindsay, I have a question. Do you like when a celebrity's child is famous? Like, do you feel like they always deserve it, or do you feel like sometimes it's undeserved?
I think it depends on if they've built a career or done something themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't just be famous because your parent is famous, I think, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? So if the
Yeah,
child, yeah,
basically. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they have to
I
do
don't know, I'm trying.
something.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Well, I mean, some people, they kinda get lucky. Their parents are able to get them into things, and you think, "Oh, if they had
Yeah.
this pa if they had a different parent, would they have still had the same success?" You know?
The legacy issue, right? It's all over the news right now, not just in this, well, in the celebrity world is another way of interpreting it, but also in academic institutions, universities,
Yep,
right?
exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, I think there are some people who have famous parents who are actually really talented, and maybe some who aren't as. So, but this kind of leads us into a great listener question from Molly. Would you read
Yeah.
the question for us?
All right, from our listener Molly. Molly says, "Dears, I love that. That's great. I have a quick question. What does ride on someone's coattails mean? I grasped that it's having success due to someone else associated with you, but does it exclude one's own efforts? And can it mean to follow in their footsteps? Best regards, Molly." What
Mm.
a good question, Michelle.
Oh, yeah, I love this one. This is good, and I like how she threw another expression in there too that we can talk about. So
Me
thank you,
too.
Molly, for that question. So yeah, Molly, you're right. we're gonna, we're gonna talk more about why you're right and go into this in just a second. But guys, we want to remind you wherever you are listening to the All Ears English podcast, hit follow, make it easy on yourself so the podcasts come to you. You don't have to
Yes.
go searching for them.
Yeah, we're getting into the fall, guys. This is your time, right? Get into the habit of listening to All Ears English 4 days a week. So hit that follow button now. Good stuff.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So to ride someone's coattails.
Mhm.
Uh, so Lindsay, what does the dictionary define this as?
Okay, so let's go straight to the dictionary first. That's our starting point, and then we will expand on this. So, the dictionary says, the free dictionary says to benefit from someone else's success, to use someone else's success as a means to achieve one's own. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And guys, we also want to remind you that we had a great episode yesterday that you should check out. If you haven't heard yet, it's 2058, 5 years down the road, future plans in English. So listen to that one. Don't miss a day.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So, Michelle, does this word, this term in itself, is it positive or negative? What's the connotation behind it?
Yeah, good question. I think it's mostly negative because
Hmm.
we're thinking of physically, like, let's talk about the expression first, to ride on someone's coattails. So coattails, right?
I
It's like
know.
someone's wearing something and they're like dragging you, and so you can get that image in your head, right? You are like holding on as they move forward, and then you can move forward too, right?
Yeah, like, what are coattails anyways? Is that like would that be if I were wearing, like, a long robe type thing, it would be the back of my robe? What is coattails? I don't even know, or is it
I'm
just
looking. I'm looking. I imagine it one of those long coats. Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
the long
Yeah,
coat, like
like
a
what the
king
like
or a queen would
it
wear.
no, 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 more like More, I mean,
Like a
maybe also
tuxedo, a long
yeah,
tuxedo? Okay,
that's
that
what I
kind of
think
thing.
of,
Okay.
like, or just like a nice coat and then, yeah, it's
Okay.
uh
So the idea is this person is wearing a very nice coat because they're successful, right?
mhm.
Probably a long tux or something if it's a man, or a really nice dress if it's a woman, and then someone is, as you said, grabbing on and sort of riding the back of the
Yes.
I love that image. It's very
Yeah, that's why I like this idiom so much is because
yeah.
you do get that image in your head. I can't help but think of a picture in my mind when I hear it.
Yeah.
And guys, that's a really helpful way to learn as well, to have an image in your head
Oh, for
to match an
sure.
idiom. Maybe we can do an episode on that once,
I
like,
think we should. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
using that as a way to help remember what things mean. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I think it's a mostly negative connotation because you're not getting there yourself, you're using someone else.
Yeah, this kinda comes back to the weird, I guess it's a juxtaposition in American culture where,
Yeah.
rugged individualism, do it yourself, tie your shoes all by yourself. We've talked about this, like the narrative
Yeah,
we say to
yeah.
kids and everything. But in the end, I think that we all use someone's help. Like everyone in the world has name dropped, right?
Yeah,
Once someone they know or someone there's
yeah,
some people that do it more than others, right? Or associating in some small way. So some people do this more than others, but I think we don't do anything all by ourselves. It's just a matter of how do
yeah,
we go about it? Do we go about it in a classy way, an explicit way, trying to ask for help, or do we try to kind of sneakily associate ourselves somehow
right,
with that, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, I think that's true. I recently heard something on TV about that, and people were saying, it's not necessarily the wrong thing to do because we should help each other. We should, but I think one of the problems is when somebody doesn't get an opportunity because someone else
Yes.
um
100%.
does
100%.
because
Mhm.
of their connections, and that's where it's not fair,
Yes.
like
Yes.
so but I think helping each other, there's nothing wrong with that, so there's a little bit of a difference. But
Yes.
Molly asked, oh, sorry, go ahead, Lindsay.
No, I was gonna say, well said. I completely understand. That's a systemic issue, right,
Yeah,
Michelle? And something that we need to look at in our system in the coming years that we have to
yeah,
fix. And that's why
for
there was
oh yeah,
just the decision on affirmative action,
yep,
which is
yeah,
very, there's a lot of mixed opinions about it, but it is going to become more challenging to get a leg up. And
yeah,
now I think that there needs to be some action taken on legacy priorities in the same
mhm,
way that that
mhm,
action
mhm.
was taken with affirmative action. So we will come back to this, guys.
Yes, that's a much bigger discussion for
Yes.
sure. Interesting topic.
Yes.
Yes. So, but Molly asked if this excludes one's effort. So I'm not sure I understand this part of the question, but basically, I think that someone can be respected if they ride someone's coattails if they prove their value. So that's what we were saying.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I like that. Do we have any examples, Michelle, that we wanna share then?
Yes, exactly. Let's do it. So here we go. She rode on her sister's coattails to get the job, but once she showed she wasn't a hard worker, they let her go.
Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes, having an association with someone can get you the job, but it won't keep you the job, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, that's true. And what's another example?
The team rode on their predecessor's coattails to get sponsorships, but they didn't actually win any games. Okay, that's not
Oh,
good.
okay. That's no good. Oh, wow. Well, so speaking of sponsorships, actually, guys, we want
Yeah.
to remind you that All Ears English is sponsored by Rosetta Stone.
Yes, exactly, Michelle. And I think one of the big keys when it comes to learning a language, Michelle, is repetition. So the
Mm.
science of training our brain. So recently, when I opened up the Rosetta Stone app to work on
Mhm.
my Portuguese, I told you, Michelle, I'm going
Yeah.
to Portugal in
Right.
November, right?
Right.
I saw that I had an activity waiting for me. It was a read, listen, speak activity.
Ah, that sounds interesting. So how
Yeah.
did that work?
Well, so there was a photo and a scenario, and
Uh-huh.
you would read the text and then you'd listen to a native speaker saying it, right? The words were highlighted. Rosetta Stone
Mm.
app, it
Yeah.
actually does go ahead and highlight those words as they're spoken. And then you'd actually speak that same text passage yourself.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, guys, we like this because you're repeating it 3 times, right?
Hmm.
And this is exactly what the brain needs when learning a language. So, guys, that is the key. And then also, when it comes to pronouncing words, Rosetta Stone has the true accent technology.
Yeah. So the app compares the sound wave of your voice to the sound wave of native speakers' voices, right? So it
Mm.
analyzes how closely your speech matches the examples. I love it, guys. It works.
Wow, that is so cool, and especially if you want to impress your family on your next trip. Guys, recently I went to Paris with my family, and if only I had this on my trip to Paris when every morning we would go, there was this adorable bodega right below our Airbnb, and every morning we would go and I wanted to speak in French. I wanted
Yeah.
to show my son how I knew French, and
Yeah, of
I could
course.
only remember just very small expressions. I could understand, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't connect. It always just led to a conversation in English, honestly.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, I know that moment. It's that moment where
Yeah.
you really want to connect. And in your case, your son was there watching you. So you
Right.
had other reasons you wanted to expose him to looking at mom
Yeah.
and saying, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
mom can speak another language. That's incredible.
Yes.
What kind of impact could that have had on a young child? That could have been amazing. And it's so frustrating, right?
Like, I had
But,
yeah.
but Michelle, next time, hopefully you will go ahead and use Rosetta Stone and you'll be ready. All right.
I will. I sure will. Yes, I'm excited to get back into my French. So, guys, I mean, for you, now is the time. It's September. It's back to school, back to work. It's your window of opportunity to pick up new habits that lead to success.
Yeah, so guys, listen up. We have arranged a very special deal just for the All Ears English audience. So, for a limited time, listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for
Ooh.
40% off. And we love lifetime memberships because we don't have to worry as much about any expiration happening. It is lifetime. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, guys, that's $179 for unlimited access to 25 language courses for how long? The rest of your life, forever. Right? So, guys, go and redeem your 40% off at rosettastone.com/AEE today. And then use the special All Ears English coupon code, which is AEE.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to spell that out so you can go ahead right now and just type it in as you're listening. So go to rosettastone.com/AEE. Good stuff. All right, Michelle. So
Awesome.
let's go into some more examples or some words and phrases that kind of associate, right, with this concept of one's
Yeah.
coattails. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I just wanted to touch on following in someone's footsteps because Molly asked about that too. I mean,
Yeah.
I think to follow in someone's footsteps is generally different, and I think this one doesn't have a negative connotation.
I
What do
agree.
you think,
Yeah.
Lindsay?
I totally agree with that. Yeah. To follow in one's footstep is a little more like, "Oh, my dad was an optometrist. I'm thinking I might wanna do that because I kinda wanna follow my dad and be like my dad," kind of, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of thing. But let's give a couple other expressions that just go along with this theme. So what's the first one?
Alright, so to prove oneself, right? So you might have to
Mhm.
do this even if you did ride on someone's coattails to get in the door, to get
Mhm.
a foot in the door, as we say.
Mhm.
Her
Right.
father got her the job, but she still needs to prove herself, and that's for sure.
Yes, 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 exactly. And then this is a big word coming up. So this is nepotism. That's the
Mm.
first word I thought of.
Ooh, big
Yeah,
word.
that's the first word I thought of when I read this listener question. Actually, um, um, so Lindsay, what do you think about this one? What is
I
nepotism?
love this word. So it's the idea that, especially, I think of this in the political realm a lot of
Yeah.
times, but I don't
Oh
think it's
yeah.
just for politics. I mean, we've seen it in different presidencies where people's family members end up in the cabinet or end up having important offices, and I think especially in our country, it's frowned upon because people should be elected or should even in one's cabinet. I think it's
Yeah.
important that we feel there's some transparency. So, for example, nepotism is frowned upon in the company, and that's in the corporate world too, right?
For sure. So, yeah, nepotism, I think, is generally a pretty big problem in many
Yes.
different areas of
Yes.
society.
Yeah.
And then the last one is to have friends in high places. So, this one is just in high places, just like people who are. At a certain level of authority who have some pull, they can get you jobs. They can get you certain perks. So she has friends in high places, so it's easy for her to get job offers.
Yeah, and I've even heard, kind of plays on this expression, "friends in high places." There's a country music song, and I think it has
Yeah,
a
yeah,
line is like, "Friends in low
yeah.
places, I have
Yeah,
friends
yeah,
in low."
yeah,
Right? So
yeah.
these are icons in society when it comes to talking about, I guess, succession and following in someone's coattail, following in someone's footsteps and kind of use like letting someone else help you get a leg up, right? These are phrases
Mhm.
that we use in our culture. Super common, guys. Good stuff.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. So should we do a role play?
Yes, let's do it, Michelle, to finish off today's episode. Here we go. So, Michelle, you and I, we are coworkers. We're gossiping about our other teammate. Uh oh.
All right, here we go.
So, did you know her dad is the dean?
Wait, really? I wish I could get a job using nepotism.
Ugh, yeah, but she will still have to prove herself. This isn't an easy job.
True. Maybe she's talented and not just riding on her dad's coattails.
Yeah, it helps to have friends in high places.
For sure.
Ooh,
Mhm.
controversial, right? And that can
Oh,
also be demotivating for employees in a company if they see, okay, yeah, the boss's daughter has a job automatically, right? That kind of
yep,
thing.
yep.
Not always good for the morale of the company. So what did we do here, Michelle? What did we use?
Yeah. So, well, you told me her dad is the dean, and I said I wish I could get a job using nepotism. So, like my family ties, getting perks because of my family.
Yeah, you got it. So, and then I said, yeah, but she'll still have to prove herself. Right?
Mhm,
Hmm.
mhm, so she'll have to work hard to show that she actually deserves the job, right? And that's that difference that Lindsay and I were talking about, where is it okay or not okay? And then I said, "Well, maybe she is talented and not just riding on her dad's coattails, like, using her dad's success."
Yeah, and then I said, "Yeah, it helps to have friends in high places." Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and then Michelle, we could go into this topic another day. This topic needs to be fleshed out
Yes.
more on the societal side. We don't have
Yeah.
time for it today because we just did the vocabulary, but
Yep.
there's a lot to be said
Oh, a
here.
lot. Yes. A whole lot, a whole lot. So, but
Yeah.
guys, I mean, this was a great question. Thank you again, Molly, for this. I mean, I think the takeaway is that like what we were talking about, Lindsay, it's okay to get help. Like we succeed, but I mean, especially we always talk about making connections, trying to make
Right,
friends.
right.
That's part of
That's
the
part of this.
natural way things go. I mean,
Yeah,
otherwise we wouldn't do things like networking and trying to form those relationships. They have to be done. And also, if your family member helps you or somebody does help you get an in, as you can call it,
yep.
it's as long as you can prove yourself. I don't think that I
Yeah,
think if
yeah.
it's a fine line because you may have not gotten in the door at all unless you had that
Yes.
in. But
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. It just happens. It's the reality of things,
It's a
unfortunately.
it's a reality, and so I'm really curious what our listeners are gonna say,
Yeah.
maybe we'll talk about this in a fluency party for our students one day, who
Mm,
knows? We'll see, but, it's interesting to reflect on, in your culture, how is nepotism looked upon? Is it expected and accepted that someone in any position of power in a company or even in politics would pull you up and put you in a
yeah.
position that would that be questioned or challenged? How and to what extent? That can also
Mhm.
be really cultural.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm super excited to hear from our listeners on this one, Michelle.
Me too. Me too. All right. Well, this was fun. And Lindsay, I will see you on the next episode. Everyone, thank you for listening.
All right. And guys, don't forget to go over and get that special deal just for you guys at Rosetta Stone. Go to rosettastone.com/AEE. All right, Michelle, you take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Lindsay.
Bye.